Hello, my name is Steve Hale, and I am a property manager and real estate investor from Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm here today to help you get your upside down house sold quickly, easily, and with no money out of your pocket. So what exactly is an upside down house? Well, it's a house that is worth less than what the owner currently owes on it. For example, here's a house that at today's market is only worth $95,000. Back in 2006, the owner bought a house when the market was inflated for about $135,000. Today, the owner wants to sell this house, but he's faced with a unique problem. How do you sell a house that is worth less than what he owes on it? Well, to start, he could talk to an all-cash investor. This investor could pay all cash for the house and close quickly, but there's a catch. The investor is only going to pay about 65 to 70% of the fair market value. That will only give him about $86,000 from the cash buyer. As a result, he will have to bring the $45,000 to the closing table to make up what is owed to the lender. Another option to the seller would be to list the house with a realtor, and given some time, the house will eventually sell for fair market value. But now, this seller must pay what is owed to the realtor and what's left on the balance from his loan, which is about $42,000 in total. Given another option for the seller is a short sale. A short sale is a sale where the bank will allow a buyer to come in and buy the house for less than what is owed on it. But the problem here is that banks are now going after homeowners for the deficiencies that are left over after such sales take place. Typically, the very last option to many sellers is a foreclosure. This is where the bank either takes the house back before foreclosure proceedings or the owner simply gives the keys back. A foreclosure is the atomic bomb of all credit hits. On top of that, the bank could pursue deficiency judgment and force you to pay what is owed after the house is resold. And that action may even force you to file bankruptcy so you can have some protection and some relief. For most sellers, this is the absolute worst option. But what if there's another way out? What if you could find another way to get out from under your payments? What if you could get the house sold without coming out of pocket with any of your own money? Well, there is another way out, and here's what I can offer you. I can offer to buy your house for what you owe on it, even if that amount is higher than what the house is worth. And you won't have to pay any commissions or make any repairs. And here's how it works. You and I can come to an agreement in writing stating that at closing, the ownership of the house will go to me. In exchange, I will make your payments. It's possible that I may resell the house to a retail buyer or sell it on a rent-to-own basis. And it's even possible I may only offer to rent it. However, my primary objective is to refinance the house within the next 3 to 5 years and pay off your original loan. Now, I'm going to address the most common concerns sellers have in this particular type of transaction. One concern of this type of sales is that the original owner remains liable for the original loan that is left in place. But the fact is, many buyers today want to buy your home because it already has financing. To make that happen, the existing loan must remain in place. And since it comes with financing, your home suddenly becomes more valuable than any other home on the market in your area. Another concern sellers have is, what if the buyer quits paying for the house? Well, although the end buyer has a verifiable income, there is a possibility that maybe one day they could default. No one can see into the future, and life's events can always bring hardships. However, should that occur, I will begin the foreclosure process with my attorney to recover the house in order to get a new buyer in its place as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, I will continue to make the payments on the house. Another common question sellers have for me is, how will I know that you are making the payments? Well, we've come up with a solution to that particular problem, and we now use a third-party escrow company that collects payments from me each and every month and pays your lenders directly. If I don't make the payments, the escrow agent will notify you immediately, so you're always in the loop. A final concern that a lot of sellers have is, what if the banks call the loan due because the house was technically sold? Well, it's true, all mortgages today contain an acceleration clause called a due on sale clause, which basically allows the lender to call a loan due if ownership of the property is changed. Now, although it's possible that a bank may call a loan due because the ownership has changed, it's highly unlikely. And here's why. As long as a loan is paid on time and remains current, it is said to be performing. Now, my experience is that banks have no interest in calling loans due that are being paid on time, and the reason is simply profit. It costs money in legal fees to foreclose on a house, and a lender would rather get paid than yet have another non-performing loan on its books. It's also interesting to note that when the lender takes back the property by calling the loan due, the federal government penalizes the lending institution for having a non-performing loan. As a result, the government won't allow the institutions to loan out 8 times the bad debt amounts. For example, if the bank took back a property that had a $100,000 note on it, they could no longer lend $800,000 to anyone as a penalty. And with FHA-insured loans, the lenders are required to first ask permission from HUD to call a loan due. To date, HUD has not given any lenders such permissions, so you might be asking, what's next? First, we would need to gather and sign all necessary paperwork, and then I can begin to market your house. Within the next couple of weeks, I will show the house to all the interested buyers. Typically, this is done at one time on Saturday morning, and depending on the results of the open house, I will select a buyer. 45 to 60 days from that date, we will sign the agreement. The closing will occur, and the buyers will move into the house. At that time, I will begin to make the payments on your loan, while the buyer pays me each month. In 3 to 5 years or sooner, the buyer should refinance the house, paying off the original mortgage. So the benefits here are obviously incredible for the seller. This particular transaction is fast, and the seller gets to sell the underwater house without paying a realtor or closing costs, and they don't even need to make any repairs. As an added bonus, the seller is going to be able to avoid a credit-damaging short sale or foreclosure. Self-help author Tony Robbins said, "A real decision is measured by the fact that you've taken a new action." I encourage you to make the decision to act now. Call me today at 404-429-2123. Again, that number is 404-429-2123. My name is Steve Hale with Georgia House Buyers, and I look forward to helping you soon. And thank you for watching.